All right, now we're moving into chapter 8, 9, and 10, and 11. This is kind of a big section, but it's really starting to get interesting because chapter 8 is really going to talk about what is intelligence. How do we test it? Is it accurate? Different cultures actually view intelligence differently. For example, North Americans, if you're Native American, sorry, if they're quiet and determined, then they're very smart. If they're talking too much, then that shows stupidity and immaturity. So every culture values intelligence a little differently. Um, we have different ways of testing it, and you're going to read about the different tests and what they test, how they measure it. Um, does that impact uh, the child's IQ? Does that give you any information that would support instructional strategies and how you work and help with that child? One of my favorites in this chapter that you're going to read about is Gardner's multiple intelligences. There's 8 intelligences, and the question is, are we allowing children to show us what they know and how they learn using their multiple intelligences? Do you know your multiple intelligence, and um, how's that going to impact you? So, and how you teach your students, and giving them the tools to learn in that way with their multiple intelligences. Tests are just one small window into how smart a child is. So we need to make sure we're testing using multiple assessments, not just one. The effects of hereditary environment um, goes into some studies with adoption and twins and how they were raised and the nurture impact on intelligence. And we find that IQ becomes increasingly more of an indicator and predictor for future academic success. And we want to find ways that assess intelligence that are more accurate, and it's influenced by gender, social economics, ethnic and racial. All of these groups uh, have differences in how they learn and how what the strengths that they have as you measure intelligence. As we move into chapter 9, we're going to look at language development. And because I taught kindergarten for many years, I loved uh, this chapter. How do children learn to acquire language? And so much of it is comes out of their need to communicate, and how we model language, how we reinforce language, and how does the social interaction foster the language development that they need. And most of it is coming out of the functional trend of language. But first, they have to really learn phonology, which is really just know how words sound, and semantics, the meaning of words, and syntax, the rules that govern uh, phrases and how we say what we say. And then the pragmatics, there's the social conventions of how we speak, when we speak, um, and the interactions we have with one another. So, and then chapter 10 moves into the different academic domains. How do we learn reading? We want to make sure we're providing meaningful activities to teach reading and to help them connect with print that's all around them, and to make reading fun, and to use their words, their language, and they will see the relevance of text as they start seeing it all around them, and as they enjoy literature, and as you model the love for reading, they will start to read. And writing, what's the very first thing? I remember my daughter making grocery lists. That was her favorite way to start writing, and writing little love notes and messages. So make the writing experience specific, and set goals so that kids can communicate through and learn the mechanics as they start to communicate more and more. You don't want to correct it too quickly in the early grades, in kindergarten, first grade, because you want them to get confident before you start correcting the mechanics. How do they learn math, science, social studies? You're going to learn that in this chapter. And then chapter 11 is all about emotional development. And you're going to hear about Erik Erikson and his psychosocial development theories. And you're going to learn a lot about attachment and how do kids develop emotional health, and how do they develop their temperament and personality. And we need to, as teachers, create an atmosphere of warmth and acceptance and provide a lot of opportunities for children to express themselves emotionally and to discuss their emotions and read about emotions in literature and talk about them. And we want to help children keep their anxiety at a manageable level as they learn how to express how they're feeling. So this is a really important bunch of chapters. I hope you enjoy learning and seeing the connection with how you relate to kids in the classroom.